Gonna throw it. Slant. This bunch for you, Mizzou.
They are carving up this LSU defense.
You don't get no better than that, man.
Now Cook's gonna throw the deep ball, and Burton's past the defense. Touchdown, Luther Burton. 47 yards.
Good place. Kick is up. It is. Yes. Oh, a walk-off winner from 61. Harrison Mevis.
This is the Mizzou-cast.
Howdy, Tiger fans, and welcome to the Mizzou-cast. I'm your host, Brendan Anthony. Joining me, as always, is my longtime brother, Collin Anthony.
What's up, dum-dums?
So we're doing a remoter today, being as it's a bye week, Collin.
Yep. No need to get together for a bye week.
Yeah, but it was telling. I think there was one game that sort of sets the stage for what we really have to talk about, which is our biggest game of the season to date. Alabama coming to town this next weekend.
Alabama Bearcats. Can't wait.
Yeah, Alabama Bearcats facing Vanderbilt over the weekend, and I think every Mizzou fan was tuned into that game because we have both on the schedule. Vanderbilt's way better than we'd hoped, and Alabama has shown vulnerabilities. So, and also let's just pause since we're doing a video podcast and say Collin is in the midst of a really tense battle with a fucking housefly. And it's going to be super distracting for the entirety of the show because I guarantee you that he's not going to get it. It's going to outwit him. And it has done for about 15 minutes prior to us recording. And like I said, the fly will win. But yeah, Alabama beat Vanderbilt. The score, I think, belied how close it actually seemed through most of the game. Vanderbilt is good. Alabama is also good. I mean, I think the bad news is Vanderbilt's really good. The double bad news is Alabama's quarterback is really good. Mm-hmm. But Collin, what are your thoughts about what you saw Alabama v. Vanderbilt that makes you have any hope or fears going into this weekend with Missouri?
Son of a bitch. When I watched this game, and really the lead up all week, I thought Diego Pavia has become so unlikable that I'm rooting for Alabama. And he shouldn't be unlikable. He's playing for Vanderbilt and winning football games. He should be a Cinderella story, and maybe for some folks he still is. But when he was in a screaming match with the Alabama fan coming off this field, I was rooting for the Alabama fan.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I'd given shit to the Alabama fan on Twitter.
No, the Alabama fan's out of line, but this cocky necklace shitbird, I'm out on Pavia. I want to play Vanderbilt, and I want to break several of his bones during the game. And I know, Brendan, you frown on me talking about, willfully injuring players during football games, but
or outside of the football field either. That too.
Yeah, I'm going to go full Mark Sanchez, give him a couple stab action. But Alabama's quarterback looked good. But what made me a little bit optimistic was the way that Vanderbilt moved the ball on the ground at times. Made me think that Ahmad Hardy might shove his big black football acumen right up Alabama's sweet pink defense.
It had to be pink.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Especially in the first half, there seemed to be a lot of vulnerabilities at the line of scrimmage for Alabama. I did think they adjusted in the second half, and Vanderbilt stopped being able to move the ball. But that being said, we have the best quarterback, our best running back in the entire world. So you put any weakness at the line against Ahmad Hardy usually wins. I thought if there was one kind of critique of Ty Simpson, Alabama's quarterback, who has looked really good this season, I would say he got sacked a number of times by Vanderbilt, and a lot of those sacks did not seem necessary. Like, he was not making great decisions, holding on to the ball too long. A few of the things I'd accuse Bo Pribula of doing. last week. But anyway, at times our defense has been pretty aggressive against lesser teams in Alabama. But if we can get to Simpson, I'm hopeful maybe he can maybe make some bad decisions against Missouri. That being said, I expect Alabama's going to score points. I expect this quarterback's going to be problems.
I think Missouri's a good football team. I think Alabama's a good football team. I think this is going to be a real game. And when we've played Alabama in the past, I mean, we have sort of been tried to be cautiously optimistic, but I think in our heart of hearts, we knew that we were outclassed and outmanned in our previous matchups. I don't feel that way right now. I feel like these are two pretty evenly matched programs at the moment, and I think what it'll really boil down to is the moment too big for Mizzou. Because I think they know they're good, and I know that they're going to understand the relevance of playing Alabama and getting a win against Alabama. And sometimes, that can make a team play tight, and the moment can get a little big. I think it would be great to come out and score right away and sort of let the team exhale and then just play football for the next few quarters.
Yeah, and I think every season there are, especially years that we've been good to kind of good, where there's a point in the season, it's like this game will define the season in a lot of ways. And in this regard, this game will define the season in a lot of ways. It's obviously the first time we'll have beaten Alabama since we've been in the SEC. It'll be put us 6-0 and in really kind of the driver's seat of the conference at that point in a lot of ways. Maybe,
Well, I think
not
if you beat
alone,
Alabama,
but yeah. But also it's the gateway to what is going to be the real guts and the shitty part of this season, which is where we played like 5 ranked teams in 6 weeks, and the sixth team
in our cupcake schedule.
yeah, and the 6th team Mississippi State was supposed to be fucking hot dog water, and it's turned out to actually be a pretty decent football team, notwithstanding what they did against A&M this weekend. But anyway, this fucking narrative about us having the soft schedule. I mean, first of all, part of the reason they said our schedule is soft is we wouldn't have to face teams like Texas and Georgia. Well, guess what? Texas is no longer even in the top 25, so fuck that. And 2, Georgia got beat by the team we're playing. Guess what? This weekend. So like, what the fuck are we talking about? The schedule is not soft. Yes, we had a very
Well, I don't know if
inroad
it
into
was-
the schedule. We had 6 straight home games and a bunch of them against lousy cupcake teams, but everybody has cupcake teams on their schedule, so I don't want to hear it.
Well, I think people are still going to ride that narrative because of the 6 straight home games, but I don't hear people talking about it as much. And honestly, you'd be a fool to, because the way the schedule has worked out, this is not a cupcake schedule. What will happen if we win this football game is we will catapult into the top 10, and we'll immediately really, I mean, people are already discussing Mizzou as a potential playoff team, but I think that will definitely cement that that talk. And but like I said, it's not an easy road to hoe if we can get by Alabama, and that's a humongous if. There is a lot of football left to play, and one of the things about our schedule being front loaded with home games and some cupcakes is it means the back end of our schedule's full of, a gauntlet. And I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because, ultimately it's a good thing because if you're winning, you're going to win important football games late in the season when the people who make those decisions are watching. But at the same time, you might be able to absorb a couple losses a little easier early in the season than you could, coming in down the stretch. So I'm not sure if it works in our favor or against us, honestly.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, we will be probably vaulted to the top 10, be in the playoff conversation right away, but that will be immediately put to the test the following week when we have to play Auburn, then we get to play Vanderbilt, then we get to play Texas A&M, Mississippi State, and Oklahoma. There's, even if we get into that playoff conversation each and every week, we could be pushed out of it because I just look at these games and I think the Missouri team we've seen so far has made me as confident as any other team we've ever had. But at the same time, every single game looks just as losable as it does winnable. And I mean, I think we got 6 tough games before we face our annual clunker against Arkansas. And if you told me we go 6-0, I believe you. If you told me we went 0-6, I probably wouldn't believe that.
No.
If you told me I went 2-4, it's possible. You know what I mean? Like during that stretch, it's a tough fucking stretch. So Alabama opens the door to big talk, but it has to be sustained week in and week out for the next month and a half.
Yeah, and Alabama can be beat. They've shown that they've thrown up a clunker, and I think they maybe figured it out a bit. But I think Mizzou has figured it out. I think Mizzou has never really not been figured out. I feel like they've been a good team from the jump, and maybe because we got the cupcakes early, it gave us a chance to oil the machine and figure it all out. But honestly, I'm not sure I love playing this game off of a bye. Sometimes I feel like buys kind of steal momentum. And so everybody's like, oh, it's an extra week to prepare. I'm just like, what are you going to figure out in the extra week, honestly? I mean, how much game tape can you watch? These flies. My kids left my garage door open. I'm in my garage. They left the garage door open all day, and my garage is full of flies. I'm so sorry. Anyway,
I can see it in your eyes. I can see you're trying to keep your fucking cool, but these flies are just fucking eating at you.
Yeah, my rage is being tethered at the moment. But anyway, I honestly don't love the bye. I don't love the bye. I don't think they're going to figure anything out, in an extra week of preparation that they didn't already know. The only advantage to having the bye, if you'll this game, is health. If you've got players who are dinged, it's always nice to have an extra week. But either way, I mean, I would feel more comfortable coming off of right out of a week and just kind of keeping that momentum and keeping the team in general's their schedule. Everything just becomes very routine, and this just kind of fucks with it a little bit. This is not the game I want after a bye, honestly.
There's never a good time to play Alabama, but I do think you don't have to worry about, like, they're going to be up for this game. There's no fucking question that Mizzou is going to be up for this game. It's been circled on their calendar for a long time.
Yeah.
And look, Alabama seems to be improving week in and week out, but they're still not a Nick Saban Alabama. You know what I mean? In a lot of ways. Like they're a Caleb DeBoer Alabama, and that's a beatable Alabama unless you're fucking Kirby Smart, I guess. Now I can see the fly like it's attacking. There it is. There it is. We got a third host to the show tonight. Yeah. I must say it's better than Caleb in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Especially Brian. Much better than Brian ever was.
Hey, I got one.
Yeah.
Only 17 more to go.
So anyway, Collin, why don't we take our first break, because there were a lot of other games that happened during the week that'll be influential on the rest of our season, but I'm sure it'll also spur some more thoughts on this upcoming game against Alabama. God, the flies on the fucking camera.
Flies are the proof that God doesn't exist, because what possible reason could they need to be here for?
Well, chew on that over the break. This is the Mizzoucast.
Mizzou football is more than a game. It's a tradition that brings Tigers together, generation after generation. And for decades, one of the simplest traditions has been a symbol of our shared experience, the communal trough urinals. They've been there through victories, defeats, and everything in between. It's about connection, a place where every Tiger, no matter who they are, shares the moment. There are no CEOs or janitors, no hedge fund managers or bartenders. There are only Tigers, standing shoulder to shoulder, united in relief and camaraderie, holding on to hope and their manhood. But now, this unique piece of our history is under threat. Modern renovations could send this tradition down the drain forever. Don't let part of what makes Mizzou special be lost. We win together, we lose together, and by God, we urinate together. Join the movement and sign our petition entitled Save Mizzou's Trough Urinals at change.org, because you can't flush tradition.
And we are back, Colin. Any luck on the fly front? I just want to update the fan.
No, they're still here.
Okay.
They seem to be multiplying.
So if you just tuning in now, and there's absolutely no reason why you would be, because this isn't a television, Colin's balls are drawing flies into his studio. So, and that's a real problem for the show.
RFK Jr. said showering more than once every 2 weeks is bad for your humors.
I don't think I don't know if anybody said that. But I recommend a shower. All right, let's move it along, Colin. We have got to go around the horn with the SEC.
We break our bread at Waffle House, our teams are pretty good. We even play some basketball when Jesus says we should. So pour a little bourbon and repeat right after me. We built a church for Saturdays and called it SEC. Jesus loves football.
So let's get to some of the boring stuff right away. Oklahoma, number 5 in the country now, beat Kent State 44-0. I remember, Colin, I saw the over-under on this game was like 45 points or something. And I'm like, I'm sure Oklahoma and Kent State's a bad matchup, but like, what is their backups and like, what? Who knows? And it's like, God, they must be fucking garbage. Just like waste of time to even play that game. Mm-hmm. Just mail in the check. Don't even do it. Anyway, get into the real football. Mississippi State visited Texas A&M, and this was a game of 2 teams, Colin, that we have on our schedule. Another tough couple of games. One of them is number 6 in the country because easy schedules have number 6 teams in the country on them. And then Mississippi State, who came into this game 4-1 and had looked honestly pretty impressive and a lot better than people had expected most of this season. The game wasn't all that close. Texas A&M controlled it. 31-9 was the final score. It was close at the half, but it just kind of A&M just looked like the better team and wore Mississippi State down by the end. And 17 fourth quarter points put the game to bed.
Mississippi State is better than they're supposed to be, but they're still not that good. I think they've played some really competitive games early on and won some games they're not supposed to, but they're not sneaking up on anybody anymore. And everybody's going to be like, hey, Mississippi State's going to give you a good shot. They're not going to hand it to you. You're going to have to take it. And so I feel like Vanderbilt kind of went through this last year a bit. You know, they got off to a good start. And then once people figured out that, hey, you can't sleep on Vanderbilt, the road got a little rougher. And I think that, I expect, honestly, Missouri to kind of do to Mississippi State what A&M did. And that is like, hey, Mississippi State's going to give you their best shot, but their best shot still isn't that great. And I think just, when it comes down to athletes, and it always does, Mississippi State just doesn't have enough of them yet.
So another game, a conference game that was very interesting in its outcome, Colin, Florida hosted number 9 Texas. And to, I think, the surprise of several people, Texas ended up losing that game to Florida 29-21.
When people said we had a weak schedule, I feel like they were just saying you don't have to play Texas. That's what they were saying. And now I'm like, no, yeah, Texas, what a buzzsaw.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there have been 3 big, fat, fucking wet farts in college football this year. And number 1 at the top is Arch Manning. That guy was so fucking hyped. And look, I'm not trying to dog on this kid. I know he's young and everything, but he's also from a super fucking rich family. He can only fall up in life. He's not very good. He has not looked very good. He doesn't look like he's going to be very good. And with Arch Manning goes to Texas, and they're just not very fucking good.
No, they're not. Their offensive line hasn't been good either. I mean, Arch Manning has not been good, and he's not getting much help. And I wish we played Texas this year. God, how I wish we played Texas this year. And look how long Texas has had to be bad for them to fall out of the top 25. They might be second only to Penn State and, colossal bedwetting. Clemson somewhere in there.
Yeah. So Penn State's right up there with biggest wet farts of the 2025 season. But the third one I would put on Bill Belichick, Colin. I mean, I don't think anybody thought North Carolina was going to set the world on fire this year, but Bill Belichick's fucking an old man. He's not there to build a program. He's not going to take 10 years, 5 years to build this program. He expects to sort of be, I think he thought he could come in there on name recognition, turn the program around overnight. And North Carolina has been a fucking dumpster fire. And we've talked about his fucking weird, super hot bimbo girlfriend. Like, what a fucking dumpster fire that is. I mean, what was North Carolina thinking, honestly?
Well, I think myself included was a little bit fooled by Bill Belichick because he, for years, had such incredible success with the Patriots. And you think, wow, he must be a smart, competent person. But it's become very apparent since Tom Brady left, is that Bill Belichick's kind of a dumb old person, like just a dumb old boomer, and who knows a lot about football, grant you. But I mean, look at how the wheels have come off on his life since Tom Brady left his universe. The Patriots got bad. He got shit canned and left the organization that he won multiple Super Bowls with on bad terms.
Yeah. And then was basically blackballed by the entire NFL.
Yeah, NFL said, fuck you. And then goes to college, and the best job he can pull is North Carolina. Meanwhile, he's dating a 24-year-old who, is objectively attractive, but man, on the list of 24-year-olds you want to date, she's at the fucking bottom of the list. This gal's absolutely running his life. Like, she's curating his interviews. She's on the field, like, adjusting his shirt, before the game. What has happened to you, people? I think you need to take your medicine. Like, what has happened? I wonder if Bill Belichick has always been sort of this, where you think he's a super steady, smart guy, has always been a bit of a dum-dum, frankly. Just a fucking, like, a irrational dum-dum. And we just didn't notice because Tom Brady was this huge Band-Aid covering it up.
Well, I've always, Colin, operated on the philosophy that most football coaches, even the talented ones and the successful ones, are not the fucking brightest people in the world. And that's not to say that you can't be smart and coach. And there have been a lot of smart coaches, but it is not a requirement.
No.
Because I look at it this way. Colin, we grew up with a guy who can work on cars, and he's really good at working on cars. He knows a million more things about working on cars than I do, but he's also a fucking imbecile and can barely tie his shoes and chew gum at the same time. Being good at one thing doesn't mean you have to be smart at all things. And I think coaches sometimes fit into that category.
Well, and I don't even question this is from an intelligence standpoint. I think Bill Belichick is just kind of like white trash. It's not that he's unintelligent necessarily. He's just, you know what I mean? Like, if he wasn't a football coach, he'd be fighting with his sons at Christmas and Thanksgiving constantly. The house would be strife nonstop.
Everyone would getting kicked out of TGI Fridays.
Dads. Yeah, he would have been kicked out of a Chili's more than once.
Uh-huh.
I think Bill Belichick is white trash. And football has wallpapered over it.
It's hard to tell because there is not much of an overlap in Venn diagrams for like super rich billionaire white guys and white trash. But there is this little thing about like girlfriends. I feel like Robert Kraft getting caught at like a Asian spa jerk off hut massage parlor and white trash. That the Venn diagrams overlap in that point. And like not giving a flying fuck who you're walking around with on your arm when you go to like Walmart and be like, yes, I know I'm 70 and she's 24. I should feel bad about that, but I do not. Bill Belichick.
Well, and that's
Elon Musk.
I don't begrudge him the 24-year-old. I begrudge him the 24-year-old he chose. You know what I mean? Like he chose sort of a hurricane of crazy. You could have chose somebody who wasn't, but that's it. Again, he's got that white trash, that DNA floating around. He's just like, I'm attracted to the one that brings the crazy. So that's my analysis of Bill Belichick.
Yeah, and this is our analysis of SEC Around the Horn. But I see the fly again. Anyway, Colin, I was on the topic of wet farts, and the last one I had was actually football related, and a distant fourth, which is South Carolina. I think they've been a pretty big wet fart this year. I mean, they weren't expected to be number 1 and 2 in the country like Texas and Penn State, but they were top 10, top 11, and they're garbage. So I think, yeah,
Everybody
maybe Shane Beamer, I could say, is more of a
Shane Beamer. Again, I wish anybody in the Mizzou universe will ever get as much consideration or glazing that Shane Beamer and the South Carolina Gamecocks got this season, off season. It baffles me. And I didn't think they were going to be a bad football team, but everybody's like, oh, top 10. And what is Shane Beamer doing that?
I think it's Collin. You know what I think it is with the fucking media people? He's a fucking dad.
Yeah, his last name's Beamer, and we recognize that. We're refined journalists.
Yeah, I think that's what it boils
down. No bias.
Yeah, so I mean, I really do.
I think Feinbaum's heard of his dad. Therefore, South Carolina's going to be great.
Yeah, that's the way. That is the logic used in the SEC a lot, and within the sort of mainstream sports media. So, anyway, we are 2 games into this SEC around the horn. Vanderbilt, Alabama. We did talk about that. It was a competitive game. Alabama pulled away with 16 unanswered second half points and shut down Vanderbilt's offense. Up to halftime, it was tied 14-all. And as Collin mentioned, they were running the ball effectively. Diego Pavia was moving the ball effectively. And Alabama said, no, enough of this. We're tired of Vanderbilt being the fly in the proverbial garage. When it shut them down, they couldn't fucking score. It was 30-14. Vanderbilt never peed a drop in the second half. I think it kind of was the outcome. I don't know if there's a good, bad outcome for this game for Missouri fans, but I think it's kind of the one you wanted. Alabama wins, but in a competitive matchup that shows they have flaws. That's as good as you could expect, right? 2 good teams going up against each other. And then the final game of the night was the evening game. Georgia playing Kentucky at Athens. Number 12 Georgia really didn't have any problem with Kentucky, as no one has. They're 2-3 on the season. And I don't know, Mark Stoops can't be long for the world. It's an odd situation. Kind of reminds me of the Oklahoma State situation where a guy had been there for a long time, had a ton of loyalty to the program, kind of feel bad, kind of took you to new heights, but also it's clearly over.
Yeah.
Same kind of deal.
Well, I think, with these longtime coaches, recruiting runs out, and the Gundys and the Stoopses of the world weren't like they were recruiting 4 and 5 stars already, but they were getting enough athletes to run competitive programs because they're not bad coaches. They're just, and now that they're not even getting the horses. And so it's over.
Yeah.
Enjoy your next coordinator job.
Yeah. So anyway, let's move on to next week. Collin, Ole Miss, now number 4 in the country after their big win over LSU a week ago, is hosting Washington State. So number 4, Ole Miss 5-0 over 3-2 Washington State. Ole Miss is favored by 32.5 points in this former Pac-12 team.
Sounds right.
I guess the Red River rivalry, I think, will be one of the big matchups of the week.
Yeah, and I think that's where Game's going to Oregon. Never mind.
Yeah, and that sounds right. Number 6 Oregon, or number 6 Oklahoma is going to be at Texas, and based on what we've seen, I would have expected Oklahoma to be favored to roll.
Yeah, me too.
But Collin, if you're taking the action right now, Texas is a 2.5 point favorite at home.
That's insane. That means they're called to draw at this point.
Yeah, but I don't know. I kind of want to jump on that line right now.
I say Oklahoma by 10.
I don't know if I'm quite that confident, but I think you got to think Oklahoma's better.
Texas doesn't have a quarterback.
Look, I get it.
The best throw in the game that Texas had was when Arch Manning went out.
Yeah, I get it, but I just think rivalry games.
Yeah, they have a way
on the road in Texas. 10. Yeah,
that with Collin.
I mean, what are we arguing about at the end of the day? We both think Oklahoma's going to beat Texas. Yeah, so moving along, Arkansas obviously reeling off of its loss of its coach. Will be at Tennessee. Tennessee is 4-1 on the season. They got a lot of confidence going in. They can surely handle Arkansas. They are 12.5 point favorites.
Yep, that sounds right.
I agree. Texas A&M, number 5 in the country, beat Mississippi State last weekend. They are going to be hosting a Florida team that just knocked off Texas. A&M is still heavily favored, 8.5 points.
Yeah, I think A&M should be because don't think Florida suddenly got good. I just think Texas is that bad. I think Florida played better than it has, but they still didn't look good. It just Texas is that bad, and so I expect A&M to roll.
So number 10, Georgia is going to Auburn next weekend, and Auburn's 3-2 on the year. Georgia's 4-1 with their loss to Alabama. UGA is favored 3.5 points on the road. It's
I would bet
I haven't
that.
watched enough
I
Auburn. I don't think
this is
Auburn.
another game where I'm saying it's 10. 10.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of leading up to, Colin. I feel that way too, but I really haven't watched Auburn all that much. I know that they're not that great, but I don't know how good or bad they are. You know what I mean? So, and I think this game will tell us a little something about that. But my feeling is what you're saying, that Georgia can take them by 2 scores.
Yep.
And then this is going to be an interesting matchup, I think, because of the direction of both of these seasons. Number 11 LSU will be hosting South Carolina in Death Valley. South Carolina is now 3-2. LSU's 4-1. They are favored by 9.5 at home. Over LSU is favored by 9.5 over the Gamecocks.
Personally, I think that's too high. I think LSU is grossly overrated. I think these two teams are much closer to one another than LSU fans would ever want to admit. And maybe I'll be wrong, but I'm betting this is going to be a barn burner to the end.
Well, there's just one thing about Missouri handled South Carolina's quarterback, but I think a quarterback like Sellers is good for 1 or 2 games a year where he goes up and he has like a fucking, runs for 200 yards and, it has like a wild ass game. And this is just exactly the type of game where they do that kind of thing. I can see Sellers going off on LSU and surprising them.
Line's 2.5.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't think South Carolina's that good, but I think they're good enough that you can expect 1 or 2 of those games this year where they will beat somebody they're not supposed to. No reason to think it won't be a bad LSU team, or at least a lesser LSU team than we expected going into the season. So that takes us, Colin, to our final game of the docket. Number 14 in the country, Missouri. We didn't even talk about how they've jumped like 4 and 5 spots in the polls by not playing because of some of the losses in the schedule that this week. One of the best things they can do is sit out and let everybody else beat each other up. Seems like.
Can we do that again this week?
Yeah, no shit. So number 14, Missouri hosts number 8, Alabama. Mizzou is 5-0. Alabama 4-1 on the year, and Alabama is a 3.5 point favorite on the road.
Yep. As lines go, that's probably, like I said, when anytime you're 2.5, 3, you're basically Vegas is calling it a draw. And I think, again, these are 2 teams that are pretty good. And I feel like it's going to come down to Hardy and can they move the ball? Because if Hardy is able to chew up some yards, then I think Pribula has a good game. What I don't want to happen is the running game to stall out and Pribula to have to put this on his shoulders. So I hope Hardy hits them early and often with some big runs, and then Alabama has to puts 8 in the box and has to kind of sit on it a little bit and gives Pribula some time and some windows to throw into.
Well, I don't know if the bye week necessarily gives you any advantage on this front because you're certainly watching tape every week regardless. But I do think there was value for Mizzou in having a team like Vanderbilt, which tried to run the ball and has a talented quarterback who is mobile himself, go up against Alabama and you see what worked and what didn't work, because I feel like Vanderbilt's offense mirrors our offense in some ways. And maybe there's things you can take away from that Vanderbilt game that will help you combat that tough second half offense that Alabama showed.
If it was me and I was the defensive coordinator, I'd say, let's bring heat. I want to blitz. What I don't want is Mizzou's secondary having to cover for 3 and 4 seconds against this quarterback. I want this quarterback having off his spot, having to move around. I don't want to be able to sit in that pocket because, if our defense has been pretty good, but if it has an Achilles heel, so far it has been the secondary. So get him off his spot, bring some blitzers, pressure, pressure, pressure. That's my recipe if I'm on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think it's one of those things where it's like, it's not a surprise what we need to do. It's just a matter of can we execute it?
Right.
I think this is a Missouri team that if we play our best game and if Alabama shows any cracks, and we can take advantage of them, it's not crazy to think
No,
that.
not at all. It's not crazy at all.
And in fact, I'm thinking, I'm
Mizzou's A
wondering,
game beats Alabama this year. Mizzou's A game absolutely beats Alabama this year.
I'm wondering, like, if I'm not a Mizzou podcaster, Mizzou fan, Mizzou graduate, Mizzou guy, if I'm just a podcaster from football land and I see that 3.5 line, if I think, you know what, I'll take Missouri. I think that's I don't know if they can win, but I think they can keep it close. And you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's action I might take if I weren't me. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I have a lot of confidence going into this game. It's not the end of the season if we lose, but it sure changes the complexion, of the season and what our potential could be, I guess. I don't know. It's one of those, it's not even this season, really. In a lot of ways, it's pretty important because we haven't beat Alabama in this conference, and it'll be one of those games that sort of breaks a glass ceiling for Mizzou in a way. You know what I mean? Like it'll put us on the trajectory of being a place that we want to be, but is at the top echelon of football for a while. So, I mean, it's a big deal. It's going to be a big deal.
Yep.
Well, Collin, you think we've talked this one to death yet?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Let's end it. This was around the horn. Do you want to name a douche of the week this week, Collin? We have discussed.
Sure, why not? I mean, we can't be player of the game, obviously, but we can do a douche.
Yeah, so we can honor our good friend TJ Moe by giving his award out for this week's TJ Moe Douche of the Week.
Douche of the week.
Now, Collin, I kind of tipped my cap to you what I thought it might be when there was that sort of
you're
between
the Alabama fan.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm a big Tide fan. No, the opposite. Diego Pavia has been lipping off to Alabama and a lot of people, and some Alabama fan who I must say was like 45 to 50 years old started barking at him from the stands, and Diego Pavia, instead of running into the locker room acting like he didn't
engage with him. Yeah.
Engage with him. And then the fan was just like, it's your average fucking drunken idiot at a football game yelling at a player who's half his age, You know what it looks like. Let's play a clip here. So my take on it was the fan should have gotten the fuck out of there and is the big giant fucking douche, because I don't care what Diego Pavia is saying. He's actually playing on the field, and so he matters. And also, he's good, and you're a fat, stupid drunk in the stands. You need to
well, I feel it's a pretty douche on douche crime, but yeah, anytime a fan, the fact that he's engaging with him is the reason I'm like, okay, but yeah, the Alabama fan is way out of line. He's being a complete douche. But Pavia, what are you doing? But that's part of the reason I have fallen out of love with Pavia and why I'm so down on him. It's like he's just Latina Johnny Manziel, who I also think is a huge douche and always did. And there's still an army of guys who love energy drink who still think Johnny Manziel's a cool guy, but not a guy who flushed his entire career down the toilet for cocaine. Who is also fighting with Alabama fans in the stands. Why am I being subjected to so much Johnny Manziel online right now? Is he fucking pimping a book or something? Why is he on podcast?
I'm not seeing it. I think it's just maybe your algorithm and knows when you get horny.
Maybe they just know I love Johnny Manziel, or maybe they know I love cocaine. But yeah, I just feel like I'm being subjected to Johnny Manziel 2.0 with Pavia. And so, anyway, yeah. But we'll give it to the Alabama fan, though I think it might.
I mean, you make a good argument. I think they could be a co-winners.
Yeah, co-winners.
Okay.
That's what's douchey, Brennan, but you brought up that Arch Manning played so poorly that he's getting the tough heart treatment. And for you guys that don't know what the tough heart treatment is, it's like when a player's not playing very good and the coach is looking for adjectives to describe a player and he can't say good at football, he's like, man, this guy is tough. What a big heart this guy is. He's a scrapper.
Yeah.
And that just means bad at football.
Yeah. Can I add one more, Collin?
Yes, please.
If I had 10 more of these guys who had this guy's heart, we'd win a national championship.
No, you wouldn't, because you'd have 10 guys without a lot of talent.
Yeah.
That's that translation means. And yeah. So, it's bad when Manning is getting the tough heart speeches after the games.
From his own coach. I mean, he's got
a heck of a heart on him. What a tough heart.
Now, I will say this, because I put that out there, but I was thinking, you know what? Brady Tough Heart Cook, he got that tough heart yoke put around his neck early in his career, and he turned out pretty darn all right.
That's true.
I mean, he's on an NFL roster, and
but there was a time when his play needed Drinkwitz to go up in front of a microphone and talk about how tough his heart is.
Yeah,
and so he did get better, but that's currently where Manning's at. He's in tough heart mode.
Yeah, and you don't want to be in tough heart mode.
No,
tough heart sells insurance.
How big your heart is, that means he's going to be looking for your replacement in the transfer portal in the offseason.
Mm-hmm. If you're good at football or if you have a tough heart, here's the thing. They're similar in that you're both going to sell insurance, but if you got a tough heart, you're going to literally be an insurance salesman. If you're good at football, you're going to be in a fucking Progressive ad.
Yeah, State Farm commercial.
Right, exactly. So you're both selling insurance. That's the good news.
Yeah.
The bad news is how it's delivered. Yeah, so anyway, I think Arch Manning might be a tough heart. So anyway, Pavia and this Alabama fan douches of the week.
Douche of the week.
Collin, you mentioned Twitter putting some stuff out there. I saw that you put something out there that got a little bit of grief. When Theo Vaughn was selected for College Game Day, you were like, "Oh, what was it? The hot Tua girl not available?" And I saw that and I was like, I like Theo Vaughn. He's funny enough, and he seems to be like the right.
Well, I know, but I'm just like
College Game Day environment. And then somebody else wrote rare L for the Mizzou, which is, I guess, a compliment, really, that we rarely get an L. But I was like, rare L for Collin. I was on board with it.
Well, I don't know, just being bitchy, I guess.
Yeah.
It also got like 500 likes as well, but I don't know. Theo Vaughn is the Sam Pittman of comedians. It's all just shtick.
Yeah.
How many times can you talk about kicking a fat kid in Kmart? You know what I mean? Like that. His act wears pretty thin. I agree. He's very funny at times, but he is a guy who was funny for the first year I knew he existed. And since then, it's kind of been like, yeah, all right. And now when I do tune in, I'm like, I have to listen to him talk about Palestine. And so I think I'm checked out on Theo.
I get you. But my point is that he's perfect for that audience.
No, he's right.
Like the audience of College Game Day, because shtick or not, all you need is a catchphrase. You just turn around to the fans behind you and say, like, I didn't do it,
Yeah.
I didn't do it, boy. And you know what I mean? Like, so Theo Vaughn is that.
It's the old boomer in me. Because I'm just like, I'm ready to disband the United States and just give up on this whole experiment of the United States because of Pat McAfee on College Game Day.
I know.
The fact that
people
the fucking dollar store Johnny Bravo has become like an entity on ESPN and is now on College Game Day. It makes me weep for our country. And so, but again, I'm bashing Theo Vaughn. I'm bashing McAfee. I'm just a old boomer. You know what I mean? I don't get it.
Look, I'll look at.
The disdain in Nick Saban's face every time McAfee talks. Me and Nick Saban feel the same way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we both have the same just disdain every time he opens his mouth.
I differed with you on Theo Vaughn. Theo Vaughn has made me laugh. I'll say this. I don't remember a time Pat McAfee has ever made me even crack a smile.
Well, no. Yeah, and I don't get it, man. I don't get Stephen A. Smith. I don't get Skip Bayless. Like I said, I'm just getting old, I guess. You know, I mean, like I miss John Clayton. You know, I like Tony Kornheiser. I'm old. I don't understand the analyst that's just screaming at you. Like Stephen A. Smith may be the pinnacle of I don't get it because I don't fucking get it. That guy, I think it might be just that he makes you want to punch him. And as Howard Stern would tell you, like the people that hate you listen more than the people that like you. And so maybe that's it. Like everybody in America, like me, wants to punch Stephen A. Smith in the face, and that's his appeal.
Don't you think that Skip Bayless is absolutely every bit as punchable, though?
Oh, absolutely, without question. But Skip Bayless's profile isn't nearly as big. I mean, like the ESPN has managed. Apparently, Stephen A. Smith is popular because they have tried to shoehorn him into everything. I mean, like he's literally when NBC does the Winter Olympics, they're going to have him covering curling. He's literally on cable news talking about politics. He's talking about the NFL now and basketball and everything. And they'll apparently the world can't get enough of him. And you know, I get enough of him almost immediately. So again, I'm booming it up.
Yeah, get it out.
In my garage covered in flies, pissed off about Pavia and Stephen A. Smith and Pat McAfee and Theo Vaughn. Fuck them.
Okay, I'm glad you made yourself known. You have to put that on the TikToks because
Get off my grass.
the more people you say fuck you to, I feel like it's the more social media interaction.
I will point a gun at you if you turn around in my driveway. Now get off my grass.
You know, Colin, I feel like ever since we got on YouTube and started recording ourselves on camera, we've become like clout whores. We're on all these social media platforms and stuff.
Sure.
But meanwhile, I say that, and then like you send us a message on almost any of these platforms, and you will go on unread for like 6 months. Ask Carolina Jackpot. So we're not exactly the world's greatest clout chasers, and
we're boomers.
Yeah, that's right. We're trying to do something that's not for us, you know,
Yeah,
not for. We were like early adopters in the podcast world, and then all of a sudden now we got us. We're just like angry old men shaking our fists at everything. But we were shaking our fists when we were little ones.
We were every bit as bitter and sour and disgruntled when we were young.
That's right. Why don't we end the show soon? And let's do it with some picks, Colin. The game coming up, Missouri versus Alabama. How do you think it's going to end?
Missouri 36, Alabama 27.
Okay. I'd love to put up 36. Hopefully, that'd be great. I'm gonna say we win 31-28.
Love it.
31-28. I'm gonna fucking predict a win. You know what I mean? I just got to.
We're at home. We got the team, baby. We got it.
Yeah, we're not the Columbia, Missourian student who likes to pick against Mizzou for some reason all the time.
Yeah.
Zach
Add him to the list.
Yeah.
McAfee, Theo Vaughn, Kid, and the newspaper. Got it.
Good. Yeah, save that list. All right, that'll do it until hopefully we're going to come at you with one of the big wins of Missouri's program coming up soon against the Alabama Crimson Tide on Saturday. Till then, MIZ.
DOU.
Money, please.